What's up, guys? So, today we're going to be talking about Kamala Harris being nominated for as Joe Biden's vice president pick for the 2020 election. So, Kamala Harris was chosen by Joe Biden after a long process that had people thinking maybe Gretchen Whitmer from the governor of Michigan could be a potential pick. Some people thought maybe Elizabeth Warren could be a potential pick. Stacey Abrams. So there's many people on the ticket, um, and he ended up going with Kamala Harris, a senator in California that was a former prosecutor, district attorney general, California state general, attorney general. Um, so yeah, she is who Biden decided to go with. And that's caused a lot of mixed reactions among the Democratic establishment and people on the left. And obviously, people on the right have their views as well. But particularly looking at the left, the liberals and the left people, you can see that there's quite a stark divide as to what people think this will entail. Some people say Biden chose her because she wasn't too progressive, but she was progressive enough in order to get some of the left leaning people to be swayed towards coming out and voting for him. I, on that front, don't really agree that her progressiveness is viewed as reaching to a lot of the people on the left and the leftists and the progressives per se. I'd also say that her run-ins with Biden, obviously when she was doing the Democratic debate and was talking about how she was very upset with the fact that he had busing because it was a personal issue for her because she was directly impacted by that. She explained how like that was like racist and kind of went after him, and now she's going to turn around and just be like, oh yeah, like I'll be your VP. So it's kind of confusing on that front for some people. Obviously, it's just politics, I guess. Like it's hard to pass up being the first um, VP, woman VP, um, just because of that. But you should have your morals, and if you're going to attack someone for something like that, you wouldn't side with them just because they offer you the position. But in my opinion, the reasonings that people have for attacking her and going after her, there's two main things that I see. So, especially when it comes to people, the one thing I'd see is when it comes to people like on the right, more conservative people, and just people who just haven't gotten with the ways yet, is how they attack Kamala Harris for her being a black woman, for her being a black woman and coming after her in that regard because when there are powerful black women in positions of power, you'll see a lot of these bigots and racists and xenophobes, misogynistic people come after powerful black women like that who have stood up to a lot. And in itself, that's just horribly wrong. If you're attacking Kamala Harris for being the presumptive vice president just because she is a woman, like you're a terrible person. And if you're because she's just black, you're also a terrible person. Like you shouldn't disqualify people just because you don't like what gender they are and what skin color they have. Um, on the other hand, I do see some people saying that, like, especially within the Democratic circles, that you should have to support Kamala Harris because if she becomes a VP, she would be the first black woman to hold such a position. And I vehemently disagree with that. You should not just want her to be there because she's black and she's a woman. You should want her to be there because she's going to fight for the things that would cause change and betterment of all people. And if you're a true leftist and a true progressive, you would see that she's not the ideal person to go ahead and do that. So people who say that, oh, she's going to be the first black woman and are like, you have to support her because of this, the liberals who say that, I really disagree with that notion, because you're not voting for what the person is, you're voting for what they can do. And I think that's what gets lost um, with liberals sometimes. So on that front, let's see what she has done to garner so much controversy about her pick. So what I was able to see is Kamala Harris was in 2004. She became a district attorney general in San Francisco. So she did that. One thing that happened there was there like 3 months into the job, she had the option to seek the death penalty for a gang member who shot one of the police officers in the district and unfortunately killed him. She was vehemently opposed to the death penalty because it disproportionately went after people of color. Um, this caused a big divide and a big backlash from the police unit, and they didn't support her for her reelection run. Um, while I agree with that, I don't think that. I think most leftists are like, yeah, we're going to support the abolishment of the death penalty. In 2010, um, 10 years later, sorry, in 2014, when it came up to a judge was like, the death penalty is unconstitutional, she ended up appealing the decision to abolish the death penalty because she said, quote, she was obligated to do so as a state's attorney general. See, this is the problem that a lot of people have with Kamala Harris is the fact that she tries to play to the two sides. She calls herself a top cop, and she says she's a progressive prosecutor, but then she goes ahead and doesn't do the things that a true progressive would go ahead and do. She's a lot of talk on that front, but her actions show that she's really geared towards appeasing both sides and really being moderate and really being centrist and not getting the progressive change that's really needed in the country, especially when it comes to the justice system that she's been a part of. So she hasn't had the opportunity. She hasn't enacted on her opportunities to be more progressive and actually done it through action and legislation. Um, Another thing that she was got under backlash for when she, in good faith, tried to make it so that kids would attend school, she ended up wanting to prosecute um, parents who committed truancy and their kids weren't attending school as a misdemeanor. Um, People didn't like this. In her area, it didn't. No one actually got prosecuted, but because of this, there's a few outlying cities and towns in the California area that did end up prosecuting some parents for truancy, and people didn't see this as a good thing because truancy usually does happen to disproportionately affect persons of color. Um, and so while she had the intention of making sure these kids went to school, the way she went about it was not the way someone who's thinking about the situation and how it would impact the individuals would actually go ahead and make that choice. So she's she's done things like that, and she's also shown her way to be towards corporatists. So she's made away with appeasing like the corporate powers and the people who have power when it comes to the government and the Wall Street and things like that. So as of right now, Trump's top guy, Steve Mnuchin, is the the director of the Treasury, something like that. He's in charge of the Treasury, giving people like trillions of dollars right now. So when we had our financial crisis, it was brought up to Kamala Harris' attention that she was recommended by the California Department of Justice in 2012 to file a civil enforcement action against One West Bank for widespread misconduct because they were foreclosing on people illegally, and Steve Mnuchin was part of all that jazz. And she ended up not going about it and not going after Steve Mnuchin in that case. Like we say, like if she's going to show that she's truly progressive and truly trying to make things better, that's an instance where she would have at least went and tried to get some sort of reparations for the things that Steve Mnuchin did to cause our economy to go in such a spiral and such a recession back in 08 to 2012. She didn't go ahead and do that. And it's why a lot of progressives are just unhappy with putting her in this position and thinking that there's going to be change in the justice system when she's had clear chances to make those changes and she's not done it. So there's no previous, all her previous record is showing is that she's going to stay in the middle and be conservative, be moderate, and not really be progressive and actually go ahead and make big changes that are needed. She's going to make incremental step changes, which really coincides with her running mate Joe Biden in Mr. Nothing Will Fundamentally Change. She is literally an exact replica of Nothing Will Fundamentally Change because of her stances that she's taken in the past as an attorney general. So she's also been weak on police brutality. So in 2014 and 2015, she didn't support a bill to hire special prosecutors in officer involved shootings. It was recommended to her to do such a thing, but she decided to not go ahead and do this, which caused a lot of ire from the people in California because of the shootings that were going on, that a lot of them being unjust. Like you'd have citizens being like attacked by police. There was one instance of a male who had 46 shots fired at him. 21 actually ended up hitting him. He was high on like methamphetamine, and the police weren't able to de-escalate the situation. Ended up killing the man just because he was on a drug, and nobody ended up getting charged for any of that. While she's the so-called top cop and in charge of everything like that, and she's saying she's progressive and she wasn't able to do anything. She didn't do anything about that. And while all this may seem negative, like she has fought for the people in some instances. So back to the mortgages and the financial crisis. So $4 billion was offered as some settlement for some California people after the housing crisis. She was able to fight and get that to $20 billion for California citizens after fighting and rejecting the initial claim and saying that there needs to be more that need to be done. So she's able to raise 16 more billion to help the people who had to go through this tough time back during the Great Recession. So in all, Kamala Harris is just she coincides well with what Joe Biden is and what Joe Biden's running, like a truly neoliberal, moderate campaign, just to come in there and say, I'm not Trump, I'm going to oust Trump, and I'm going to do the things that I need to do, but I'm not going to do anything too crazy that's going to get the leftists and the progressives riled up and actually happy and see the country move in a positive direction. But make sure you come vote for me because I need your vote, but I'm not actually going to take in the things that you want me to do. So that's what Joe Biden wants, and that's pretty much why he picked Kamala Harris, because he knows that she could talk all she wants about being progressive prosecutor and doing this and that, but outlined in what I've just said is that she hasn't taken the opportunities to be progressive in her actions. She said it through her words, but her actions as Attorney General from 2014 to 2017 in California just showcases that she isn't really willing to make the progressive and radical change that's needed, especially during the times that we're going through right now. So she what I'd say is, like, overall on Kamala Harris, she's pretty moderate as it comes to crime. Like, I know she's declared herself as a top cop. I don't really know what exactly she means by that. I don't know if that she thinks it's a good thing, especially during this time where police aren't looked at in the best of light. I wouldn't really want to have that name tag attached to myself. Um, but she's taken the opportunity to be in the middle and not really take the progressive stance that she needed to. I keep coming back to that because that's what we need in this country. Was we need true progressive, true radical change. That's why I hear people saying we abolish and defund the police. Not abolish the police. Nobody wants to abolish the police. Want to defund the police, so we can get some radical change and make it systemically better, for the generations to come. And she's not someone who's shown through a record to do that. She's flip-flopped important issues, like I discussed with the death penalty. She said on the one hand she was against it, and then on the other hand, when it's time to abolish it, she says it's not her job as the Attorney General to be able to make such a decision when it literally is. She said she wanted to prosecute to change the system, and she's done better, I'd say, than I guess most, but she hasn't done anything to give her the title of a progressive prosecutor. Um, her stances, her stance on the justice system right now and the change she says she wants to make doesn't match with what she says she wanted to do. And she's really shown that she's a moderate. Like, she may ruffle some feathers, um, but she's not going to do anything that's going to really put people in a position where they're like, I know she's going to fight for me and she's going to do the things that we need in this country to make it better. That's not who Kamala Harris is. She's a moderate Democrat. She's not going to make changes that are needed for the country right now, and that's why I feel like she isn't a great pick. I thought originally she was a terrible pick, but I understand why Biden made the pick, because she perfectly aligns with how he wants to run his campaign, how he would want to run his administration, if elected. And Kamala Harris is the perfect person to do that. Someone who can evoke the persona of having big change that a lot of people in the country want, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty and what is actually going to happen, she's not going to be the person who's going to do that. So as leftists and progressive, I can't say the word leftist, I don't know why, leftists and progressives, it's sad that this is the position we're in. But yeah, so we have Kamala Harris is a VP for Joe Biden, and from what I can say is, it looks like people are under the ruse that they are going to vote for the ticket of Harris and Biden. Me personally, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's interesting to see people, especially people who claim themselves to be progressive and leftists, say they're going to vote for this very moderate, very non-progressive ticket, just because we have currently what Trump is. But that's definitely a discussion for another day. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, drop a like. I'll see you guys in the next video.